So we'll go deeper into NFT in sports, but first, please have a round of applause for Amir.
Thank you. Thank you, Manu, for this introduction and inviting me over. Okay, let's see if this works. Yep. So I've been asked to rush, so I'm going to do it fast so we can all meet and have a discussion, a more deep discussion on NFT. I saw, I think yesterday on one of the social media, a picture of a guy sharing NFT he bought a few months ago in $1,200. Now it's worth $2. And he said, for more financial advice, you can count on me. Yeah. Now, I'm not an NFT expert by all means. There will be some experts later on. I do believe NFT is here to stay. I do believe blockchain is here to stay, and there's tons of application. And you know what we see now, there are all kinds of smart people which will be able to explain it. But I think there is a, I would say, correction, and the good companies will stay here to provide a special value that this new technology and new platform can provide. Today I'll share with you what we learned from working with brands, clubs, federations. As Manu said, we have about 100 brands which work with us on a regular basis on solving their challenges. And we'll share what we've learned in the last, I would say, year working in around the NFT and metaverse space, and a little bit about community, because as you probably gathered by now, NFT cannot work without having a very strong community. We are all in the business of creating community, if we want to admit it or not. And in the end, it's about the skills, the tools that will enable us to create meaningful relationship with our community and the people around it. A quick story I'll share before this. My biggest mistake, as I call it. Yeah, my biggest mistake. We started Hype around 7 years ago. In the first few years, and you saw here great startups. Well done for the startups and Stadia Ventures for this. And it's, you know, it's not something that was born yesterday. Yeah, they're doing this work for many years. I started as an entrepreneur. I wanted to help startups. So they contacted me, and we started building a community. And I tried to help them with my connection with the board. And I got a cold shoulder, as they say, yeah? And I didn't know, what's the story? I'm calling a guy from Pepsi, a guy from FIBA. I have a great startup. Why can't you help him? Yeah, he's exactly what you need. And the answer usually, and the people that we know and we trust, and they trust us also through our very good contacts. The thing is, even when I go to the right person and I got him to see the startup, usually the company could not move forward. And it took me too long to understand that the right way around it and the right way to help the startups is to do what? To do it the other way, to do it through the brands. To really understand what the brands need and want, and to be connected to them in a manner that they trust you enough to share with you the real pains and challenges. So a few years later, what I'll run now, just share a bit about Hype, just so you know who we are, and some of you may find a way that we can collaborate. And then I'll share with you some NFT examples that we are working with brands, startups, so you can maybe get some idea or maybe some inspiration for your projects, for your building the community, and also some learnings around building a meaningful community. So I mentioned our board, so you see here senior people from UEFA, Pepsi, Canal Plus, PwC. David just left PwC, but he was leading their sports business activity, Rod, etc. As mentioned earlier, it took us a while to understand that our main objective is to create community around those people, not the startups. those stakeholders. So first, sport properties, work very closely to them, have the experts to help them, and then help the startups. Around this, we build an ecosystem of about 250 investors, all pre-qualified in a direct relationship with us, global mentors, program directors, and global sport brands. Oops. I mentioned, I think in the session in the morning, what we call the reverse pitching. Reverse pitching basically makes the process upside down. Instead of startup pitching here, like they did, which can create some kind of connection, we ask the brands to come and share what their pains are in a closed session. Those are sessions happening from now till February. All those brands are doing a full process of really stripping out of their needs, challenges, wish list. And as I said earlier, they sit in a closed room with 200 startups which are relevant. They share exactly what they need. Because sometimes what the brands need is here and the startup is here, what the startup is offering. So they tell them, this is what we need, guys. We don't need an app that will work in parallel. We need app which will be integrated with our app or other things which are really crucial to them. No, we don't need NFT, but we could look at metaverse activities and some elements of blockchain there. So the request is very, very clear. And the startup then can present to us the full pilot proposition. And what we've learned is customers or brands are not going fast for deals, as we know, especially in the sport industry. They would like to do it in pilots. So we serve them in doing what we call a risk-free zone pilot. They try, and then they get the courage to do 3, 4, 5 pilots every quarter. That's what we're aiming for. Because it's simple, but they can try it and they can really see how it works and get the feedback for their board and then take a decision whether to move forward or not. This is not this program, a previous program, and you see some of the brands and their selection of startups for pilots. This is one startup, and I think it's here. Sven, you're here? Oh, I missed it. All right. Again, an idea of startups, Troopos AR. They're doing augmented reality solutions. Imagine what happens to a startup after 3 months of getting this type of introductions and pilots. What happened to the valuation? What happened to the sales they can do later on, etc. Some of the allocation of the startups in our ecosystem. Our business model, by the way, we get equity or options based on the success of selection to brands. If the brand is selecting a startup, we get the option to buy shares in a good price. All right, so let's talk about NFT. I think what is crazy when I heard it first, just a second paragraph here. In 2020, the overall trading of NFT was 109 million. In 2001, 1 year later, 23 billion. Yeah? Times 210. I don't know what is this year, probably will be a lot less, but still, that's crazy. Yeah? Metaverse market cap is estimated to grow fast. Again, time will tell. So here you can see the jump on the NFT. And this is interesting. The actual growth of SportsTech in general was not as good as the SportsTech. So SportsTech grew faster than general sport, yeah? Traditional sport, like club, stadiums, traditional merchandise, etc. All right, so let's talk a little bit about NFTs and NFT examples. You're all familiar with Dapper Labs and what they're doing with the NBA and NFL. Tennis Australia did actually, if you saw that, and if not, I invite you to learn their pilot. It was really really special. They took the court, just briefly, yeah, and they put it, divided it to squares, 7,000 squares, virtual squares. And you could have bought a land out of the 7,000. In each land, there was a specific ball, and you can see it here with the art on it, different art on each ball. And if during the competition, if a winning point was on your square, you got like additional bonus, yeah? And they sold everything, I think it was within, I don't know, 2 hours. They sold all the 7,000 balls. It was very successful. It was on the central land, and they had like, all kind of other metaverse experiences there. NFL and Liverpool, we had a session with Meta, with a gentleman from Peter Hutton, which was talking to brands last week, and he shared 2 pilots that Meta has done now with Liverpool and NFL. Maybe you saw it. With the Liverpool, what they've done is you can now, if you're buying, let's say you get the kit of Liverpool, yeah, like here, you can buy the kit. You can also buy your avatar, and you can buy apparels to the avatar. So you buy, you want the home shirt, you want the away shirt, and it's part of their kit. And I think that's also key. People are looking sometimes at NFT as a separate topic. I think what we're learning more and more that NFT is always it's a component within the overall marketing strategy and the ability to communicate meaningfully with your audience. So what kind of utilities? What would I get if I buy this avatar? Do I get any kind of access to a new content? Do I get access to special event that is open only for the die-hard fans? What is the actual utility that will be there? This is one of our startups called My Football Space from Germany. What they're doing is basically creating a replica of anything you want. So this is David Beckham's shoe from one of the World Cups. And you can see, let's say he gives agreements to create 100 like this. So each one of this is NFT, and it's a digital. You get a picture of it. You see here, you get a picture in your digital museum, and you can get a replica. Yeah, and this can be done on anything. Yeah, it can be done on shirts. It can be done on helmets for motor racing. You celebrated 125 years here recently, so there's tons of ideas and memorabilia you can create around this. Yeah. This company is called Collect ID. They're doing NFC. It's like something you can scan with your phone. The beauty is it's a NFT which you have your own digital code here. So you can buy a shirt and there is a digital version of it, like a twin. Now, if I buy the shirt and I'm getting with the shirt into the stadium, Manu here will know how many fans are in the stadium with the shirt. And not only this, you can create like a community of communication between the shirt holders. So when they are somewhere, I don't know, away game, they can communicate with each other and find each other in a bar, yeah? So, and here also, it's not just communication. You can put a special link here where they can go into a virtual place, watch football together, be together. There is a lot of, I would say, element of value that you can add into this specific link. Couple of more options and I'm done, yeah? Time is good? All right. Below, you can see the Shiba dogs. Maybe you heard about them. It's a startup from Vietnam, created a game around dogs, which you play in the metaverse 5x5. The thing is, the dog looks like the player. So you can choose players and teams are doing this as a game in parallel to other activities they're doing, and it's quite successful. They have like quite a big community already of players. on this. On the top, you can see Fila, owned today, if I'm not mistaken, by Anta, the Chinese brand, and they're created there. Let me see if we can see it again. So they've created like a digital museum where you can see all kind of experiences. And again, you can choose what you put here and what the experience and what you get from that as a customer. Oops, there were a couple of more. Okay, here in the middle, you see again, it's a company who's created this, is creating this startup, creating this, how do you say, band, which create, with the app, you can see this 3D animation. And this, they did it for the, this is a SLS, it's an extreme skateboarding league, yeah? So you can do whatever you want here, but the fan can get it, and then there is like a common shared experience, which can be later on be discussed and shared in the community. On the right-hand side, I think somebody in the previous session mentioned Swiss Timing. That's a project, Swiss Timing, created for the Chinese world, winter sport in China. And again, the idea is to create a NFT around ticketing with a specific memorabilia around it. And in any event, I think ticketing from a big event, you know, there are some games. You know, there was a famous game in tennis, I think, which took like what, I don't know, a few hours, like 10 hours. I don't know. You remember? There was like a crazy game. Imagine if the ticket you had from this game was an NFT, yeah? Or, you know, the World Cup in '66 or whatever, yeah? I'm just thinking about games which we won't forget, yeah? And again, that's an area which I believe more and more brands will go to. Couple of last examples. The left-hand side is ST Performance. It's, you know, Formula One. Again, you can do different types of experiences. This is, again, Swiss Timing Omega, where you can do a twin NFT for your watch. And here it's the moment. This is Swiss Federation, where you can see the moment and own the moment, specifically similar, I think, to Dapper Labs. But, you know, being down national level football, it's quite special. Few last, I would say, key learnings. As mentioned, NFT is part of a complete branding marketing tool, does not stand on its own. It's an additional tool to build meaningful engagement. It's not just about the design and to have a cool design. What is it behind it? How can we create close, meaningful relationship with our community? It's here to stay, especially the blockchain has elements which are killer elements. It's not going anywhere, and we will see it, I believe, a lot. And building a meaningful community first, as mentioned. I mentioned my mistake. And this impacted the way we build our community. So if you remember, if you understand, if you see what we created initially, we were focusing on the community of startups. Now it's different. The community is the brands and the startups, and it's a totally different way of looking at creating meaningful here. It's identify your community and the early adopters, the people that really need you, address the need and then dwell on it. Dwell on the need. You remember the dwell on the need? It's to get the need and really mention it a few times, really understand it, share it a few times, and design a meaningful content and the community around it. I heard a nice phrase saying education, when you educate your community, let's say on social media, when you put education material, it creates branding. If you are touching the pain, it creates the real engagement and the monetization. So think about, with your communication, with your community, are you touching the real pains they have there? Are you really inviting them to look at the pain and then offer some solutions and content and bonding around it? Or you just educator, which is also good, but depends on your objective, yeah? And then share knowledge, best practices, and leverage the expertise. And of course, partnerships. You know, what Manu and his team are doing here with their accelerator, you know, using other accelerators like Stadia, like Hype, like other activities around the world, I think create better value to everybody. And I think everybody wins from that. Last thing, as I mentioned about communities and pain, what we've done recently, and you show it, I saw somebody share it in the morning, our accelerator in FC Köln, Germany, together, I think, Ryan, you've been there, yeah? Created a game where we brought about 6 startups to implement, including the camera, the body cam, but also others. Now, it was a friendly, so no FIFA, no UEFA restrictions. You can do anything you want. It was very, very strong. And imagine this can be an opportunity for startups to implement things, not theoretically, but in real games. And I think this trend will continue. We did another session with Tottenham versus AS Roma in Israel, which was with Mourinho, 2 of his teams. So it was fairly interesting. Also with the ability to implement all the gadgets and solutions we wanted without relatively any kind of restrictions, of course. We didn't get everything we wanted. So that's a little bit about Hype, and thank you very much.